Welcome everyone to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions, your home for all things psycho. This is your host, Daniel Muller, and I'm here with the one and the only Eli Schwab.
What's up, y'all? How's it going?
The cosmic lion himself.
Yes, growl.
Yeah. If you don't know who Eli Schwab is, I don't know what you're doing.
Right?
You're living in a hole. So we're just going to be sitting and chilling. Like, we're both working men here, so we both got a lot to do. But I still wanted to have a chance to sit down and chat with Eli.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna work while we talk. And I think, that's cool because we're like putting this cool energy into whatever it is that we're creating. So Eli, just to so people can know who you are, because my rabid fan base is so huge and really wants to
ask the hard-hitting questions.
The hard questions. Like, I'm gonna corner you on some shit.
Yes.
But no, really, I just kind of I want to know, because really you and Will Hoffnick were the two that really gave me a chance, actually. For the first time, it really kind of helped me put my foot into this industry. And now I'm corresponding with all my heroes. I just had, the best conversation in the world with Rick Beach. All this is come about because of you and Will. So I always have you guys to thank for that. And so you're obviously a guru of all things comics. Let's start from the very beginning to little wee Eli.
Little wee lie, the young chap from overseas, or where are you from? And where was your first hit of comics? Where did your love and your passion? I'm from Maryland originally, so just a small town in Maryland called Cumberland. My dad was always into comics and Mad magazines and stuff like that. So I really grew up with it. It was just kind of always there. That thing of you go in the attic and you're looking for stuff and you find the Mads, or you find the Playboys, depending on what it is, and
yeah.
and so it just kind of was comics storytelling was always there. My grandparents loved the Saturday morning cartoon, the newspaper comics, and so we would read them to each other. We would sit down there and Calvin and Hobbes was huge. I was this rambunctious little kid. I had my stuffed animals. I was always creating ideas and stories, and so everyone connected me with Calvin and Hobbes. So that was a really early storytelling and comic book thing for me. So that was always that was huge. Calvin and Hobbes was a big one.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of always there. It was really always my passion. In school, I'd be drawing comics instead of work. Recently, when I was back home, I found a thing. Now, this is from college, but still, it was a test from a jazz history class where I got extra points for drawing some jazz guys on my tests. So
yeah.
It was just always a love for me, and drawing was a natural growth out of that. So it was just man, I can't remember a time when there wasn't some sort of comic book creative energy sent my way and then rechanneled out through my own creative mind.
I've seen, not that I stalk you, but I stalk you. I'm obsessed with you.
Thanks, bud.
But I've seen pictures of you and your dad together and that you've posted. He seems like a hell of a cool guy.
He's super cool. I love hanging out with him, doing comic book stuff with him. Recently, when we were in New York City this past week, he brought me to his comic book guys place where he's a dealer. And anyone in the Cartoonist Kayfabe Ringside Seats group saw that post I made of that shit, and it was
yeah,
as Jack Black would say, a cream dream. It was absolute. I was remember in Ace Ventura 2 where he goes into that lovely room of death? That was me. I was I was everything was spinning around. It was absolutely mind blowing to see this guy's collection and find something that I could buy in my price range and find something, it was really cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, Dad's like always been there as far as comics. Like he has huge, but he was like stuck when his mom like threw out all his comics and baseball cards growing up. He was like in that generation where it was like impossible to get past that sad fate for your collectibles.
Oh yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah. But alas, the collection is being rebuilt, and it's too fun to not participate in.
So you said you're originally an East Coaster, but now you're on the West Coast, right? So
Correct.
How did your like love for comics develop? Did you ever stray away from them at all, or it's obviously because you're talking about your history of jazz class, these things started like coalescing, like your love for music, because you're a huge music person. Like when I think of you, I don't just think comics, I think music as well.
Yeah, music is huge. As you can see, like the walls that converge behind me, like this side is like all Ninja Turtles art, and then this side is all like concert posters and stuff like that, and except for that Blunt Man and Chronic up there. But was there a time that I got out of like comic books? I can trace this directly through my art, because there was clearly a time like up until 7th and 8th grade where all my art is X-Men, Batman, Star Trek, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden it becomes like Fish and Jay and Silent Bob and guitar guys and drummers and stuff like that. So I guess there must have been a time where I was like, I was deciding that I was going to be doing more of like art of musicians, and maybe I stopped reading. Actually, like in my small town, there was not a lot of comic book shops to go to, so I did get banned from one of my local shops for not like picking up my pulls. It was like in the next town over. It was like a college town, and it wasn't great. So then I didn't have a way to get my comics in, so then that was a little tough, but I figured out a way, and I think maybe that led into my, like delve deep into the realm of like girls and weed and LSD and stuff. And then I like wasn't reading as much comics, and definitely not getting the girls. But but then like slowly but surely, like those things kind of coalesce back into each other. As you find like these different groups of people that value comics as much as they do music, and you find other friends that like comics, and you kind of like dive back in and stuff like that. But
right.
Never too big of a time where I wasn't reading comics, and I always had all those old comics I'd always go through and stuff. Of which I still have. I never like sold my childhood.
Never had a purge you had to go through?
Never had a purge, no.
I had a purge I had to go through during a really hard time, and man, I had boxes and boxes and boxes.
Damn.
It's very sad.
Sucks.
Although, I always my collection always I wouldn't say fringe, but it was always stuff that you're going to find in the dollar bin anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been accumulating it back, quite easily over the years.
You never know about the dollar bin, like it's like, I was just thinking like, oh man, it would be nice to have that What If Jane Foster or whatever, which I'm sure was like a dollar bin comic for years. And it is now like, fetching $80 on eBay.
Oh my God. So were you, I guess, like most of us young tykes, I'm sure you're, primarily, well, with your dad's influence, you probably weren't primarily, the big two, you had Mad Magazine influence and shit like that.
Yeah, definitely Mad and Cracked were like always there. Mm-hmm. The grocery store was where I got that stuff, and for sure like Wizard, and I was even into Toy Fair and stuff. Mm-hmm. And like I was big too, but growing up it was always like my brother likes and my dad likes Superman, so I've got to like Marvel. Marvel's my thing. Mm-hmm. I'm an outcast and a misunderstood child, so obviously I'm gonna read X-Men. That's like where it's at for me.
Sure.
And like I was at the perfect age where Generation X was like the comic for me growing up. Chris Michello's art, and then into the Dodsons, like that shit blew me away. That was my favorite shit. I always want to have like a checkerboard around my pages because of like that cool stuff Chris Pacelli used to do.
Oh yeah.
Man, I love that shit.
That was a really beautiful book. I thought. That was kind of my later teenage years. I think I'm a little bit older than you.
I think so, yeah.
So when did you really start kind of finding, what was like your first book that like was something that you really like got passionate about, that you sunk your teeth into, that you definitely like once you started getting it in your hands and absorbing it, that like, okay, I'm going to do this for a living. Like, this is my passion. That's become like your primary inspiration and driver. I have some ideas, but I'm interested in like, see if I align.
Well, it's funny because my first comic wasn't even based on a comic book. It was Star Trek based.
Really?
Yeah. So my first comic in 3rd grade with my boy Levi Lutz. Shout out Levi Lutz. I always do. We made our own crew. We made a new starship up, and so that was my first comic, was Star Trek. And then quickly, oh, you know, man, it's crazy. When I was at home, I actually found this. It's crazy because one thing that I had done like before the Kayfabe crew was make these Ninja Turtle art books with another Facebook group. And it was just all these different art pieces about Ninja Turtles. And I found in 2nd grade, I did the same thing. And I orchestrated a bunch of different of the art, like the artist in my class. Shout out Anthony White. Shout out Josh Turner. Josh Turner was so good. He was better than all of us. But, and so I found this like notebook of all these Ninja Turtle drawings that we all did. It's crazy. So for sure, Ninja Turtles was the thing that made me be like, I want to create in this universe. I want to like make my own of this, because, and I mean, man, it goes even past the comics to like to the action figure line, because it was all about just being creative and like reinventing the turtles in like as many possible ways as you can, like with of these, you know, with like the freaking, you know, the turtle who's the fireman, or the turtle who's the freaking, you know, everything, literally everything was done in that line. So like, you know, that I think was one of the first things that made me be like, you know, there's so many variations of this that I can just do it my way. And, you know, it's viable, you know? So that was really cool for me to find out.
Are any of those Turtles zines still available?
I have a few, actually. Yes. You can buy the Viking zine. The B cover is still available at my website, cosmiclineproductions.com, along with all the other shit we'll probably talk about later.
Right. So Star Trek, huh? Star Trek was your first actual comic. That's incredible. I wanted to like be in that world so bad, so much so that like I would go to the grocery store with my mom just so I could like walk into the doors, you know, that open by themselves. I would wear my Star Trek uniform to the grocery, and like it would be epic. That was one. I would print out like 4s in a circle from my dad's printer and like run around the woods, and I'd be like Johnny Storm, you know, and we'd be on like an adventure up in the woods. That was a big one for me. That's awesome.
And like, you know, I would wear like the red sweatsuit, and my buddy John Irons would wear the red sweatsuit, and he would be the Human Torch, and I'd be Reed, or you know, shit like that. So it was nonstop like creative energy, you know, and like especially action figures, I think are one of the more like one of the best tools for like kids to start like writing their own stories.
Oh hell yeah!
Because you just sit there, and you know, my parents would just sit me in front of these figs, and I just, you know, nonstop action. You know, the Batmobile here, and we've got Batman on a motorcycle, and you know, the Joker stole the Batmobile, and you know, so there'd be all types, you know, and I would just sit there and be, and mom and dad thought I was just, you know, crashing shit, but I was like, really, like, there was dialogue, there's camera shots, I would lay on the ground and close one eye and like do all this stuff. So that I think is where it all really started for me, of like wanting to really create my own stories.
I completely agree with you. When my kids were little, my wife and I deprived them of electronics for a long time, way more than other parents, and that was like the thing in our house, as many action figures and shit as possible, and they would just spend all weekend long creating, like, the whole house would just become this giant battlefield story that would last the whole weekend.
Nice.
You know, dragons and Marvel action figures, G.I. Joe's, Voltron, whatever.
See, that's awesome, man. That's what kids need these days. These ain't kids.
I know.
Getting force feed their TikToks and their...
Oh my God. I don't even let me get into it, because I will turn into old man mode. Back to Eli. So Star Trek was your first, like, where did your making of comics evolve? Like, what came next, and like where are we at in the timeline? Because it got kind of ambiguous for me, or maybe you just kind of turned into an amorphous, timeless blob for a while.
Well, I have this, and I don't think I've ever said this on a podcast or anything. So here's exclusive. All right. My next character that I created, that I've actually, you know, done some work recently with in a Ringside Anthology, is this character Jester Man. He was I actually like wrote comics with him, and, you know, I would just, you know, get printer paper or even notebook paper, just draw on it front and back, and then staple them together, and I would bring them into like my 7th grade middle school class, and like we would wait. You'd have to wait in the lunchroom while the teachers like getting ready, when the buses like came early or whatever. So I would sit around, and all my friends would listen to me read my comics and look at the pictures or whatever, like story time or whatever. And okay, so Jester Man was originally created because we went to like a ski swap at the Wisp. Shout out anyone who's from Western Maryland area. And I bought this like Jester cap. You know, it was like a Jester hat. And in an effort to like make my parents laugh and their friends kids laugh at like a dinner party we were having, I put that on, and I think I put like a flannel shirt on that I tied around my waist upside down or something crazy. And I was running around, and I was just like, I'm Jester Man, you know, and I like created this whole thing. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's like my comic book character. So right then I wrote like a story. I think I wrote one called like Jester Babies or something, where Jester Man got turned into a kid. And then like my babysitter's newborn child was like my cohort, and we like fought some dude. And there's actually a page from that in my new mini comic that I found some old stuff and like put it in there. And then, you know, as I grew older, I continued to draw Jester Man more and more and more. And like, especially even when I was like getting older, I grew dreadlocks. I was going to see Fish a lot. And so then now his new mission was like selling grilled cheese in Fish Lot and fighting the Wooks and the bad drugs or whatever, you know. So it really grew with me. And so that was for sure my first like character. I used to sign my name like Eli with like a Jester hat on top of the E.
Nice.
And so then there was like that was like on the shirts at my bar mitzvah. If anyone has one of those, check it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was always super fun.
Where did you evolve from there? Like, so where are we? How do we get from there to Cosmic Lion?
I was living in Burlington, Vermont, and I started just being a lot more like introspective about my life. And I also lived in New York City for a time, 2004, and there I was like living alone. And, you know, I had a lot of time to like write, and I was traveling for work. And so I was like traveling a lot. And so I would write these journals and movie ideas and just all this stuff. And so that kind of turned into my next couple releases all came from writings and comics and ideas from those journals. And so then I moved to Burlington, Vermont, and I worked at this place called Nectar's, which is a music venue, which is of course where Fish started. And I got to be like the production manager there, and I was I would book like these events, and I needed kind of like a name. I needed a like a production company name. I needed something to put on the posters. And I was also at that time listening to this band Sound Tribe Sector 9.
Oh my God, my wife is obsessed with that band.
Really? They're amazing. They're amazing.
Some of our first, they come in by Lawrence, Kansas a lot, which is close to us. And when they do, my wife is like, we're going. And it's like we're teenagers all over again.
Yeah, they're great. And you can tell her I saw her before they even used any computers. Okay.
Well, okay, sir.
No, I'm just kidding. No, they're really good, you know, like, and so.
Actually, she would love that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, they were amazing. They actually do shows like that now called Axe the Cables, where they do like acoustic shows. But they always had really cool concert poster art. They would work with this dude Yamabushi, who would do these like what he called hyper collage. And just like in one of his hyper collage, there was this lion with like this kind of like galactic thing in its forehead. And I was just like, that's it, dude. Oh, well, a little more backstory about the lion thing. It's a big, it's like a big symbol for Judaism. And I am Jewish. I was born Jewish, raised Jewish. Mom, cover your ears. I accidentally ate acid and had to go to temple to practice for my confirmation. Terrible, stupid idea. But I'll tell you what, I'm glad I had this rainbow pen that I was like drawing all day with. And so I still have that book, my like confirmation binder of like the service and stuff. And there's just these like rainbow blobs everywhere in that fucking book. Anyway. And so that was a big symbol for Judaism. My grandparents were like, in the like Lions Club locally in Cumberland, Maryland. And so they had all these lions, and lions just really became like a symbol I grabbed onto. And then when I grew my dreads, I had this whole experience. I was in I think it was St. Lucia, and I met this like Rastafarian priest, and he really opened up to me and brought me to his home and showed me all this stuff about the religion and how Judaism and Rastafarian share a lot of teachings and symbols and all this stuff. So the lion just became a really important symbol for me. While I am not a Leo or anything, but it just really connected to me. So then the cosmic lion again just seemed perfect with like my love of Star Trek and 2001: A Space Odyssey and like these different ideas that kind of all congealed into my production company named Cosmic Lion Productions. So then I was having all these days. I would have like the February Fandango, or my big one was the Hockamus Jam, which was like a Hockamus Christmas thing. I created this whole thing where you would get the Hockamus bush, which would be like this round bush I used to always get from this place in Burlington, and I'd have people at Nectar's, and I'd have local bands or like a super group of local bands. Shout out my dude Alex Budney, who is the booking manager there, and he plays bass with a lot of awesome bands. And he would organize like a super group of these amazing players, and I was like a pretty good percussion player. I played drums my whole life. You can see I have a kit thing back there, and I played like congas at that point. So he would let me like play with them. So that was like a huge thrill. I do have a tape of one of those shows, so I can play that. I'll send that to you if you want.
Oh my God! Yes.
Our band name that year was Aurel Hershiser, Aural. And I would write like freestyle raps, or one of the times I took this like crazy Hunter Thompson song that was rejected by Warren Zevon about like sucking the flesh of women or something like that. Obviously in retrospect, it probably wasn't the greatest. But anyway, so I'd do things like that, and I would honor a writer too, like Hunter Bukowski. I think we did one year where I would read some of their writings to music, and I would also do a comic book release party for all those things. So I had my, I guess I could hop up because they're right there in my spinner rack. I can show you what I sold at those things. I have my original Yes. They are they're again just 8.5 by 11 Xerox at the Kinko's across the street from Nectar's. This is the Hawkamus Special 06. I drew that at a bar, and it would be like just some mini comics. This is the first one that I did ever in that era. Cosmic Lion Collected. Beautiful. Straight up stole off Jim Mahfood, his Monkey Lion Collected, which was like his studio, and I just drew that as my house. And the Hawkamus Prime Special one shot with the original Cosmic Lion logo from my friend did for me. And then the Cosmic Lion Big Finish, Big Book of Unfinished Comics, which was because I would many times start something and never finish it, which is why like now I only kind of make these one pagers and then just collect them, you know?
Right.
So those were the comics I made at Nectar's, and I would a lot of times do live art. I spoke with Jim Mahfood numerous times, being like, "Oh, I want to pay you to come," and he's like, "If you pay for my, round trip, cross country plane ticket, I'd be happy to." And I was like, "No, I could never swing that or get it covered by like ticket sales or whatever." But
he used to run gigs like that, I think, in Kansas City, here in Kansas
absolutely.
City, at the Kansas City Art Institute, because that's where he went, and that's the kind of. I was not involved in the comic scene at that time, and I kind of wish that I would have, because it sounds like it would have been cool shit to go to, where he previewed Girl Scouts and other shit like that.
Yeah, I really got a lot of inspiration from Jim Mahfood. He was. You're talking about the genesis of my comic making. So once I read the Generation X Underground Special, and it really hit me that like comics can be about Atari and friends hanging out, and it doesn't have to be all color and it doesn't have to be some epic battle. It really kind of changed my view, and then I was like, dude, I can start making comics about me and my buddies and about smoking weed and listening to music and stuff. And so then that's what it started with me. And then later on, again, his Beat B Sessions podcast is what got me being like, dude, I want to fucking make mixtapes. And I really wanted to be on the radio in Burlington. I went to a few like classes. I did college radio at my 1 year of college. So I was like, man, I want to do this. So Jim Mahfood always has been a huge influence on me. And he knows it. I've interviewed him enough times and hung out with him in person enough that he knows now. And it's awesome. Cool. It's cool, It's cool. Much love, Jim Mahfood.
Yes, hell yes. So did Monkey Lion come out of all of this like pretty soon? Like where's the genesis of Monkey Lion? Monk.
Yes, the spelling is messed up. I got the spelling. I mean, the spelling is also another riff of Led Zeppelin, like Zeppelin, because I used to have a poster right behind my bed, and so it's one of those things that you just lay there and you're reading it all the time, and I found that my name is right there in the middle, Eli, Zeppelin, and I'm like, okay, shit. Two favorite animals are monkeys and lions, and if you drop that W or drop that Y, you got it right there. My name's right in the middle of Monkey Lion. That's like the dumb genesis of the name. But again, I was sitting there.
Great genesis of a name. That's awesome.
I was sitting there in Burlington, Vermont, and I still have the paper. It's in my Monkey Lion books. I was trying to figure out a way to merge this music and comics that I love so much and find, a way to tell some stories from shit I'd been doing, working at Nectar's and interacting with music people and having these crazy adventures and stuff like that. And so I wanted to like create my own band, number one. And there was this band called Dopapod. They still exist now in a different formation, but this dude, the dude on keys is named Eli. And so when we started working together, we immediately like hit it off, became buddies. And it was him and this dude, Mikey. And it was like Mikey was fucking powerful on those drums, and it was just Eli on keyboard. So it was like a drum and keys duo. So that was like, okay, I can do this. And Eli was like, we'll definitely make music for your comic, dude. Absolutely. And so then I was like, okay, sick. So here it goes. And they've got huge now in their scene. They're pretty fucking big, and they play with all the big names and stuff. Their newest album on vinyl folds out to be a board game. It's so cool. Awesome. Like they do.
That's so great.
Yeah, they work with amazing artists. They make really cool stuff. Anyway, so I made that, and I wanted to have these, villains that were like anti-music and these, punk rock villains. And my first issue, the villain's name is Torrentio Digitalis. Like the digital torrents, like torrenting music is killing record sales. So that you try to have those like subliminal things. And so I actually designed that in Burlington, and then kind of left it sit for like 8 or 9 years. And I left Burlington. I tour managed a band on 2 national tours. Kind of found myself not knowing what to do. My grandma got real sick, ended up passing away. I moved back home to take care of her for a little while with my folks. Yada, yada, yada. I went back to school kind of in this like final promise to my grandma. I would like go back to school and like find my passion in music. And I went to Full Sail in Florida, and that's where I met my beautiful partner, girlfriend, Tanisha. And we moved to Tampa together. We were working for a music company, and I was like, now's the time. I should just make my comic. And I was like, I never forgot Monkey Line. It was always like, that's what it's going to be. If it's not Jester Man, it's got to be Monkey Line. And that was like the conduit to tell these, like, I could tell Star Trek style stories. I could tell these stories from tour managing the band. I could do anything I wanted to do, and then also make a soundtrack for it. Just making a mixtape, and maybe even Dopapod would do it. And every time I check in with them, they're still like, "We'll do it, man. Of course we'll do it." So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's like future plans. Then, like you
absolutely
make an album and everything. Because like right now, ladies and gentlemen, you can go out there and get Monkey Line comics at Eli's website, and they're fucking awesome.
Thanks, dude.
Love them.
It's I've really hit kind of like a roadblock with it for a little while. I sent my comics to one of my favorite artists, and I tell this story a lot, and I try never to like out the artist for being the huge dick that he was. But he told me like my work wasn't good, and that I needed to practice more, and that you shouldn't have published yet, and that like this is a professional work, and you could never get a job at whatever, Not that any of that was ever my goal. And like the first issue, I didn't even storyboard or pencil or anything. Like I just went right to it and did it all in one go, stream of consciousness. And so that like hit me pretty hard to the point where like I wasn't like, I didn't work on Monkey Lion for a very long time. And like I have the script, I have a few pages done, and I haven't even set back to it for like probably 6 or 7 years. And I have plans. I want to do it. I've talked with artists, Rick Lopez. Gotta love Rick Lopez. He's like, dude, get a bunch of us. We'll all do a page and we'll get it done. And like,
fuck yeah,
that would be sick. Like, I want to do it.
I want to do it. 100% in. 100% in.
That would be sick, man. I would love to get it done that way for sure. Because it's kind of like keeping me up, because I have these other ideas that I want to do, but it's like I can't start something new until I get this like last piece of Monkey Line out. So maybe I'll fast track it that way.
I'm gonna go in a little bit of like on a rant for a minute here. All right.
Dennis Miller style, but little Dennis Miller, but
I need a cigarette. So like totally, I hate that. The reason why I found it really hard to get into the comic scene when I was younger is when I first tried to enter, there was this whole like mentality of like things needing to be polished, needing to look like that Marvel or DC style, or even like hyper image style. And it set me back for years. It set me back like almost 20 years of not being able to follow my passion at all. And I'm like, the reason why I'm going on a rant that like fills me with a little bit of anger that someone said that to you, because it wasn't really for, the cartoonist kayfabe community. And you and Will just like, Ed and Jim were a good part of that, because they highlighted just a lot of people on their channel. And it was just like, it's not about being polished. It's about just totally lifting each other up and just like, what's your style? Like, who are you? Like the work is good if it's just you. And that's when it's like 100%, and you can feel the energy, and you can feel that energy in your work. I love it. You did a pin up for my Psychonaut trade paperback, and it is fucking mind blowing. I mean, like that when that someone like says something like that to you, oh, that just like made me a little bit angry for a second. So I just kind of wanted to clear the air there. Like the community that you've helped make is this incredible community where people can just come in and not have to go through this like hoop jumping that happens at like conventions and in the industry. And I'm not saying everybody does that in those areas, but it definitely exists, and it's definitely something I'm not interested in.
Yeah, and like the whole portfolio thing that was like so big at cons, like everyone, you have to go get your portfolio looked at by someone, and they tell you if it's good. They tell you if your work is good or if you should continue. Like I never wanted to be in on that, like, because that's not always how it is. And a lot of these like underground comics from the 60s we look at, and these like Head comics, San Francisco comics, all these comics like that doesn't look anything like any of this shit. And it changed the entire world of comics.
Yep.
It turned a CS into an X.
Yep.
And we love it. You know, it's like, and it doesn't look like anything else. So for you to, for anyone else to get caught up the way I did and not be able to create for so long because someone tells you something, I mean, it sucks. It sucks to hear. And if I can help someone get past that hurdle, I'm like so psyched.
Yeah, fuck the guy who told you that, man. With all due respect.
I love him. I still love his art. I don't even care.
That's good on you. Holy shit. That's awesome.
I still like buy shit from a Etsy. I still want to get a commission. I don't even care. Like, because awesome. in a way, he helped me. He helped me break out of my shell. He helped me realize who and what kind of like ideas and like feedback I want to take, what parts of that feedback mean anything to me, and like where and like how to move forward and how to like break free of like the bullshit or whatever of anything. You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like, you know, anybody can make comics. It doesn't matter at all what your like skill level is, or what your noses look like, or if you draw with cats or animals or stick figures. I
think that's why I like it. You know, when people talk about comics, they talk about, well, it's this medium that then blends the visual with the literary. And that what I like about it is like what you just hit on is it's so egalitarian. Like you don't have to be a master film director or, you know, a craft, you know, with the written hand with prose. Like you can like a little kid can just go and make some of even the coolest, best fucking comics. It doesn't matter. It's so accessible.
Absolutely. I love it. And there's a million ways to do it. A million ways, you know, like, you know, everywhere from that Cyanide and Happiness, which is basically just like stick figures with, you know, witty ass repartee, you know, and you go all the way up to Alex Ross or up to what's his name? There's those other dudes that are like hyper realistic or like man. So
Joe Jusko.
Yes.
Remember Joe Jusko?
Of course, yeah. And there's a guy I'm trying to think of too, who did some like Iron Man work. It's not Goran Parlov. I like that guy a lot. He did some other stuff like Mobius style, but he has a name kind of like that. I think perhaps he's Russian. But you know, anyway. Like it's all good, and you can make it all in a million different ways, and I love it.
All right, so before I choked on my love for you, I was asking you about, you know, going from just comic maker to like I'm going to start pulling all these other people in and creating these massive projects, doing the Theweenzine, which that was one of the things I like really hit on with you. I actually I don't have many friends in my group that are into Ween. I connected into them in college just through like one or two other people that loved Ween, and we devoured everything Ween, and I still do. I still love their work. So doing that, you did a Team and T-zine. You like then you went into Wizard, which is mind blowing. So what was the shift? What drop of acid did you take to get you to productions rather than you're just Cosmic Lion, the lion?
Well, I feel like I have an innate talent to like organize people and to like find the best in the groups that I'm in. And I really like working with people and just like harnessing the creative energy around me when I can. And so I started to realize when I was, because I've always found, because also growing up in my small town, like, you know, I had my crew and we were all into like Fish in the Dead and STS9 and going to shows and concerts and stuff like that. But no one was like into comics really that I knew, you know, people here and there a little. So then when I grew out, the more and more that I found people that are into comics, the more I wanted to like find that buddy and like, you know, he could write and I could draw and we could do this. And like, I don't think I ever really found it until like I met Ben Granoff. But he's kind of like, I kind of love that dude a lot.
Yeah. Yes, he is amazing.
But yeah, he's so cool. And but I started, a lot of times I would find the groups that I love and I would get on their message boards and the internet. And I was like an early adopter for the internet. Again, my dad was like a computer programmer. So we had like Genie and these message boards always growing up. So I'd find like-minded individuals. I was on the STS9 message board. Jim Mahfood had an early message board on his 40ouncecomics.com. And Kevin Smith, the View Askew universe, I was big on that message board too. So I started meeting people through there. And the first big meetup of internet people was for Kevin Smith. And I went and saw him live in Red Bank the first time he did his evening with there. And it was like a 6 or 7 hour thing, you know, and I got drunk at the place before with all the people, and there was the big meetup, and I ended up asking the first question of the night, and I was all drunk, and I tried to bum a cigarette off Kevin, and he just quit smoking, and it was crazy. It was really fun though. Like I asked one question and everyone booed me because I was asking about Richard Linklater and his influences, and everyone was like, boo, he's answered that 1,000,000 times. And so that was fun. And I ended up kind of like, I mean, it was so long. I like fell asleep a little bit and it was crazy. It was wild.
Wow.
Anyway, so then, you know, this is a long story to get to a short point, but the more I started noticing that all of these groups, there was these amazingly talented people who were like looking for other people to create with. So then in the Ween board, the Ween Appreciation Society on Facebook, I started getting really active on there. And that was where I would find people to hang out with in these new towns that I would be moving to where I didn't know anyone. And then just one day I started a contest. I was like, man, there's so many, you know, talented people in here. Let's do a contest. Let's put Ween into all these album covers and, you know, someone will win. And that post went crazy and still is like archived on the Ween Appreciation Society. You can go see it. There's hundreds of entries. And you know, my first one was Diener on the Electric Ladyland cover. And I took like a photo of Diener and made it to look like that Electric Ladyland cover. I did like a Miles Davis Sketches of Spain and changed it to like Sketches of Winkle. Nice. And I did a few different ones like that. And all these people did these amazing ones. And one Red Hot Chili Peppers Mother's Milk, you know, as the lady and the hands, and someone did that. That one ended up winning with a mention to a Sound of Silence, Simon and Garfunkel, where they edited it in and Jeaner's face is on Paul Simon's head and it's just a little wrong, and it's so funny. He looks like Kermit the Frog or something.
Oh, that's
anyway,
awesome.
After that post went crazy, I was like, God damn, there's so many amazingly talented people. Like, what if we did a zine? What if we made a zine? Like, I loved Jim Mahfood's like 40-ounce zines, and I had started buying these like independent, you know, rock magazines or zines and stuff like that. And I really wanted to make one. And I guess I had made a few Cosmic Lion ones at that time. I had some Cosmic Lion zine size books that I did when I was living in Florida. And people were down with it. So I just did it, and I took submissions, and then it just went off like crazy. And I interviewed Diener, and I interviewed Diener like a couple times, and then someone interviewed, you know, Claude Coleman Jr. and couldn't get Jeaner. Hoping to get Jeaner if we do issue 7. Though, and 6 issues later, we had this amazing Theweenzine. You can go to theweenzine.com. They're all sold out, but they're all up there for free to download, and you can print them and do whatever you want with them. That was one of the caveats in the original post, was that they'd all be free for everyone after their original print runs went out. So those are super cool. And then
on number 7, definitely.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm definitely doing it. I was like, I don't know if I'll do another one. The community is so spread out. The Ween board's not what it used to be. Some of our main people passed away and it kind of sucked. And not in the band, but in the crew. But I, immediately when I said that, I got a submission for issue 7. So I was like, damn, man, maybe I need to just do it. So I think I'm gonna. So if you're interested, hit me up. Eli at theweenzine.com is the email to submit. 5x5 by 8.5, full color if you'd like. And so then again, I joined this Turtles group, and I was like, there's a ton of insanely talented people here. The mod of that, shout out Armani Milan, was like, I noticed you've been publishing, and I'd love to do an art contest. Would you want to publish the entries? And I was like, hell yeah. And then I went and interviewed Steve Levine, and I interviewed someone for the first one, like, Donovan Alex. He's an amazing artist who does these amazing like Silver Surfer, Ninja Turtle crossovers, or he's an amazing. Search him. He's in the Kayfabe group too. He's absolutely amazing.
Did I send you that info on Buster Moody? Because I picked up one of his zines. Have you been hooked up with him?
Absolutely. He did a 2-page spread for the Theweenzine issue 5. He has some amazing Turtles work. Yeah. He's been in the turtle. Yeah, he's awesome. I love him, especially because his love of music and comics, he fuses that very nicely. Much love to Buster Moody. Yeah. And again, so the Turtles group, and then everyone's heard the story of how I wrote to Jim and Ed. I wanted to start the group. I wanted to make, like the Ween board and like the Turtles group. I wanted that for Cartoons Kayfabe. As soon as it started, I was like, we have to do this. And I wrote them this whole pitch about how I wanted to make my own issue of Wizard. And they're like, dude, this girl just started one today. So hit her up. And so I hit her up, and she was like, I don't even really want to do anything about this. I just wanted to get it going. And so she gave me the reins, and it's insane. When I went to see my dad's comic book dude, she works there. And after I posted all that shit, she reached out and was like, dude, I was there. I showed her this photo. She's like, that's my head. I was right there. And we didn't even get to meet. It sucks.
Wow.
But so that was cool. And then just immediately when I wanted to start the Kayfabe group, I was like, I know already there's going to be a million talented people in there. We have to make our own issue of Wizard. And then it just happened. And then Image Grand Design blew the doors off of it. And then through meeting Ben, he's introduced me to so many different opportunities of working with books like Oh Fuck Why, working with Arcane. And, whether things work out with those books and I continue working with them or not, it was amazing learning experiences and propelled me into all these other opportunities. And I'm always looking for people who want to publish stuff, hit me up. And if it's something that I'm into and I like and gets me excited, I'd love to work on it with you.
Yeah. So, you're a full-time publisher now, really. You're so you went from just publishing your own stuff and then having these group projects, but now people at Ghost Agents and Arcane, you're publishing other people's books.
Right.
With your stamp.
Right. And it's really a learning experience because there's a lot of promotion and these marketing things that go into it. You really got to beat the pavement. And I can't say that I have been the best on it. It's still a learning experience. So I'm still trying to figure out the best ways, looking for help. With Wizard too, I brought on this dude Taylor to help me copy edit stuff and being able to ask for help and not being too bullheaded to be like, I can do all this shit. I'm so great. Look how good I'm doing. Being able to stop and notice what you actually need help on and what could be better and trying to work with other people to make it better has been somewhat of an easy and a hard lesson to learn because sometimes I can be really bullheaded. I know what's best. I know exactly what's going on here, but you don't always, and sometimes working with new people can really bring new opportunities, new connections, new viewpoints. I've looked at Wizard 2 1,000 times. I can't even look at it anymore. But I'm so excited. And at this point, I'm like, are people even going to like it? Because it's so boring, but it's only so boring because I've been through it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
It's 420 pages and I know every single one by heart,
That's
and it's
crazy.
I'm just so excited. It's
did you hear that, everybody? 420 page magazine.
Yeah.
A
magazine. I think I even added an ultra to the Ultra magazine format. So it's going to be really cool. And man, yeah, I'm so psyched to like where it's going. And the more, and I'm really excited about Ghost Agents. I really like working with Rocco. Any of the bad experiences I've had working with other creators who aren't as involved as I would want them to be, or other things like that, like Rocco is fucking involved. He's organized. He knows exactly what he wants. He's got everyone going. Like, I just sit back and, get the work done of publishing it and shipping it out. And I've got all these, amazing posters over here, and Rocco ordered 100 pins that I get to make. Thanks, Rocco. And no, I'm just kidding. But so there's all this boots to the ground work that like I'm really working hard to do for the production. So I'm super psyched.
That's incredible. Yeah, Rocco's awesome. He's definitely in the hustle. And so are you.
Absolutely.
Like everything we're talking about, you're dropping names. That's what's so cool about you is you're kind of living that energy that a lot of creators like really need to take a look at. I think I definitely find inspiring because you're kind of left out. I mean, I even work with a traditional publisher for my non-comics books, and you're still, even then, you're kind of left out in the wild west. You have to do the hustle, like whether you're an author, an artist, whatever, you have to be the one that is, has that energy, and you got to push yourself out and make yourself out there, get yourself an identity, knowing people, and, a publisher isn't going to do that for you. So.
And we are the people in the kayfabe group are very, very lucky, myself included, yourself included, that we have this microcosm of people that we can, that the marketing kind of like takes care of itself a little bit, obviously not completely, but like, there's so many, like I said, the target market is at your fingertips there if you have the book, and you have the creativity. And so we're so very lucky to that. But, I keep trying to take a step back to think about if we didn't have that, if I didn't have that go-to of the kayfabe group, where would I be marketing it? How would I be marketing? How would I be getting it out there? And if I didn't have the kayfabe group, I'm not sure I would be doing it, because obviously that's where I met everyone, all these creators and stuff. But,
it's a lot of creators supporting creators too. There's a lot of other people on there too. So what is your kind of, the distribution for these books, especially outside of that Ringside Seats community? Like, what is your reach?
Well, I'm still trying to figure that out. It's not huge, and I don't do too big of print runs. I try to keep it low so that we can sell out, make the money back, and then move to the next thing. Like, I'm not trying to dwell too heavily in anything. I want to get it out to those who want it, and then like keep going, because I'm like a, if you build it, they will come type of guy. I think that if the work's there and you keep making it, it'll happen. I made Cosmic Lion Radio, the podcast, available wherever you get your, actually not wherever you get your podcasts, on Apple Podcasts. You can check out Cosmic Lion Radio. It's a podcast I've done for a little over 10 years. But when I was doing that, nobody was listening. It was my buddy Ryan out in Cali, and a few, people that like, and I would have Matt Wagner and Mike Allred and, Frank Zappa's tour manager, or his sound guy, or Hunter Thompson's tour manager. I'd have these bigger dudes, but I wouldn't get a ton of hits, but I just kept making it and kept, they say fake it till you make it. And I wasn't really faking it because I was doing the work, but you just got to plug away on it. Nothing happens, there's all those memes you see, like Samuel L. Jackson was 40 when he was in, this big movie or whatever. And, all these little things. So like, it's never over. You should never give up, but you just got to keep making. If you have an experience like I had with this artist that gets you down, practice to spite him. And his advice wasn't bad, drawing us
sketchbook every day. Make sure you try something new every time you get it. Like he had good advice for me, and almost in retrospect, it was like, was he right? And I'm sure he did it in the wrong way, but his advice was sound. Keep drawing, practice every day, keep working at it. Like, there's kernels there, but he shouldn't have said it sucked or whatever.
Yeah.
But so you just got to keep plugging away, and the more we put books out, and the wider swath we create, and the more people see it through, just word of mouth, going to cons, which is like coming back up now. I put in for SPX. I would love to get that. I tried for Toronto, but I'm on the side for that. It's like, just got to keep pounding the boards, beating the pavement, and slogans.
I want to make it at SPX sometime. I think that would be great.
Me too. I mean, and that's basically my hometown. It's like only a couple hours away from where I grew up and where I, bought comics all the time at Wonder Book and Video and Frederick and all this stuff, so I would love to come back there. Like it would feel like coming back home, a success, like that.
So 10 years in the future, no, 20, maybe even 30.
30, I'm dead.
Where is Cosmic Lion Productions? Like, what do you have an end goal in mind that you're looking for? Or are you just doing to do what you're doing in the moment, and if it comes, it comes?
I used to jokingly say Monkey Lion sweatpants at Target was like a goal. I'm not afraid of that, because that means that you've made something that the world loves and can connect with, and you crack the code to human joy, and you've created something that everyone wants to be a part of. So I don't view Monkey Lion sweatpants at Target as I've sold out and it's the worst thing. I view that as I've created something that is that people the world over love and want to rep and be a part of and be a fan of. I have been such a rabid fan of all this stuff. Goals for me are people to want to draw Monkey Lion and make fan art or want to or see that and be like, oh man, I can do that now, or I can make a comic. 10 years I would love. I can foresee Ghost Agents transcending the comic book media into something else. I would love to work on something like that with Rocco. I have friends here that are making film, and my girlfriend works in film and TV here. I would love to write a script with Rocco, or I'd love to help Rocco transcend Ghost Agents into something else. I would love to write, I have a new idea for a comic about a cartoonist who never dies. Is an ageless cartoonist and has traveled through time forever and can exist in all time periods at once. And it's just, that movie, The Fountain. Yep. I love that shit.
Yep.
I love these ideas. I love time travel, and I love these ideas that this person made this cave art, and then he also was drawing unnamed for the syndicates in the 40s or whatever, and then had an image book, and so I'm trying. That's the book I'm gonna make when I can complete Monkey Lion.
Awesome.
He's the son of chaos, born to Earth to
Incredible.
create, something like this. Don't steal that, guys.
Yeah, nobody fucking steal this shit. That's Eli's.
Yeah. I'll know.
This is recorded.
I'll know.
This is for the court case. What we've got written out right here.
Documented, signed, sealed, delivered. Stamping it.
No, that's beautiful. I'm with you, man. I mean, that's why it's my character, Simon Myth, which is this new book I'm working on.
So cool.
To see you and people like Matt Lesniewski, and I got another print. There he is. My God, that blows me away. Another print by oh my God, the Power Comics guy. Why am I blanking on his name? you were blanking on the name, but just to have all these people do these different iterations of your character, and I've been living with this character for almost 20 years in my head, and I've just finally got the gonads to finally put it down, and it's incredible. It's incredible to like see other people share that love for something that you love and connect with. And I mean, I want to really be loyal to the people that are really good to me. So for like people like you and Will, you like whatever you need to like get Monkey Lion there. I mean, 100% behind that. Just what do we got to do to get Monkey Lion sweatpants at Target?
Yes, I might actually follow through with Rick's idea of having some other artists help me finish it, because it really, I love it so much. But like, it's like a roadblock at this point to just like finish this issue 3, you know. Mm-hmm. It's become this whole other thing that I'm almost like, and I'm not afraid to say it, a little scared to like get back into for some reason. It's like, and I don't even know what it is, what the fear is, what am I afraid of? Like what, it's like, you know, I would need to do some psionic travel into my inner workings to like find what that roadblock is in there that's like really stopping me. But
that is kind of weird. I mean, you seem to have like an upbringing that this kind of stuff was promoted quite a bit. I mean, my upbringing was like, comics, that's bullshit or whatever. So I wonder where that fear does come from, because you exude a lot of confidence and it shows in your work and in just who you are. So that is interesting.
I don't know. I can't even begin. Maybe it's just from that interaction with that artist and like that inner fear of like, is my art like good enough? Because I don't draw like, you know, sometimes I draw my figures look flat, not 3D, or like I only have a couple poses and it's always at the quarter view or whatever, you know, like there's these little foibles I think about, you know, these little things, but it's like, I hear a lot of people when I hear compliments, they say your art is your art and it looks like you every single time. And I would battle with that, being like, is that a good thing? Or is it like, that's his shitty thing? But no, it's like, that is good. Like that is a really good thing. If people are seeing my excitement and my outlook and my personality in my art, I'm doing it right. So I'll never be Joe Mad. I'll never be Jim Food or Chris Pacello, but I can be like myself with elements of them boiled down, you know, my favorite artists. And
nor would we want you to be, man. Like seriously, like what you were talking about those cartoonists in the 60s and the revolution that they really hit in. I mean, you carry that level of energy in your work. It has, that's the, like what I was trying to get to. It's really less about skill and it's more about energy and what's really behind, like, so you're into Judaism, you know, sure, yeah, and symbolism and shit. It's really what is behind the symbol that is like the most important, and the meaning behind it. And that's your art. It's a giant magical fucking glyph. Like Grant Morrison doesn't have shit on Monkey Lion.
What?
That's what I'm saying. Write that down.
You didn't hear that, Rick.
Uh-oh, sorry.
No, you know, like he and I think what you're trying to get at is like Grant Morrison could never create Monkey Lion.
Exactly.
He could never make my book because like he hasn't lived my life.
Right.
Joe Mad could never draw like me because, you know, and I could never draw like him. I didn't grow up watching anime and have that influence that he did. It's like everyone is the summation of all the shit that they've boiled down into their personal gumbo.
And it's like tones, like you mentioned Madeira, like anime, manga was a huge influence for him. With like you can tell your influence comes heavily from music, graffiti art,
for sure.
My food, stuff like that. I mean, you can feel that, and that's what's interesting about, you know, different styles and whatnot, is kind of seeing those influences, because nobody's 100% original. It's fun to see like where the inspirations come from.
Agreed. And you know, you should never shy away or try to like, or say no, I wasn't influenced by anyone or something. That's like, I don't think anyone would ever say that, but it's like you wear those on your sleeve, and you can see that, and you're better because of that. You're better because you can find these amazing things that push you on to create better.
Yeah.
And especially, you got to thank Jim and Ed for being these amazing creative artists who made a channel and were able to unite all these creatives to make something that's like bigger than them now, and I think they know it. I think they're humbled by the creative power of this audience and this crew they've brought together.
It's a force. It's got its own momentum at this point. It's pretty crazy.
Yes, man.
Cool. Well, we're kind of like hitting at, I think is probably a good time to start wrapping things up. Do you want to like throw out any promos for anything new coming up for you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, well, the big things right now, Wizard 2 is at the printer. It's about half sold out already. So you can go to cosmiclionproductions.com and grab it up. I think there is like maybe one or two of the super extra special foil variant. There's only 3 left of the ultra mega foil variant. And then there's a good amount of those, but once the kayfabe effect happens, once Jim and Ed have it in their hands, and whether they do a show about it or not, I don't care. It would be awesome, but if not, that's cool. It's up to them. If they do, though, it will sell out immediately, as it did the last time. Last time after their show, I had to go back and do a full second print, which I just got more this time so that I wouldn't have to do that. So
I don't know how they wouldn't do a show on it. Interview with Brian Talbot, Rick Veitch.
Right. Yes.
I mean,
Rick Veitch, Bill Stout, Jesse Lonergan. God, who else? I don't have my proof here, which is stupid. I left it in Maryland for like all the books I got to like ship back. But it's absolutely going to be amazing. It's going to blow people away. I think it's there's less like wizard riffs, like less like, there's no other than Palmer's picks, of course, and the like price guide sections and stuff. It's more just straight up interviews and comics. It's more of like exactly what everyone really wants, which is like all of these independent creators. And another thing that is so cool, like I remember when I first saw myself in print and when I was first in a group of other creators, like I felt better. Like I felt better about my work. I felt better about the future prospects. And if I can provide that opportunity for someone to see their work in print for the first time, I am so fucking honored. Like that is huge to me. If I can inspire someone to get their book written and done and printed, like that is everything. That is the only thing I can look for in all this work that I do is getting more people to do it. So
that's what you did for me, man. Like when you put my shit in Wizard, I mean, that like gave me the confidence to just be like, fuck, I can do this. I can make comics now. And I've never been happier.
Yeah. You were even serialized too. Cause I remember like then Will published like part 1 because I was taking too long. And then I did part 2 and it was perfect. Like such a cool way to get those first pieces out. Wizard 2, huge.
Yeah, Wizard 2. You also have Arcane 3 coming out.
Arcane 3 is almost it's absolutely going to be done, and it's the end of this arc, and it's still up in the air whether we're going to continue doing more Arcane. But Arcane 3 is coming out. It's going to be huge. Awesome. And then Ghost Agents 2 is also at the printer right now. It's like going to be wild times here at the Cosmic Cave. Shipping and packing Wizard 2 and Ghost Agents 2. Ghost Agents 3 is like already done. Then awesome. The Ghost Agents Treasury Edition is going to be after that, which is going to be absolutely insane. It's going to be so cool.
Awesome.
I cannot wait.
So much.
I can't wait to work on that one. Yeah, it's going to be huge. So those are the 3 big projects that we're working on right now. I got my podcast, Can I Thwip It, with hip hop MC, nerdcore artist Manus Dunbar. That's always fun. We just have fun. We bomb around town and get drunk and then talk about comics and all the shit we did all day. We talk more about mainstream comics than I do on most of my other things. I always bring like a stack of books of like indie books, new books, and Manus will just have his like issue of Spider-Man and talk about it because he like loves Spider-Man, and it doesn't even matter like that I have 5 to 10 books to talk about. He can talk about that one issue of Spider-Man, and it's interesting, and he's got all the backstory, and like that's what I love about working with Manus. Like it's so much fun. He's got so much energy. And then the Grendel cast with Ben Granoff, which we're about to record in a few minutes, which is building up to the new Grendel Netflix release. And I mean, we are the official Netflix. We're the official Grendel podcast. So when that show's coming out, we're going to really try to be covering the show. We're going to try to get the interviews we can get with the creative teams, hopefully to get the main star. So we're going to really try to bust our asses. And with the help of Matt, who has been incredibly helpful in this whole journey, we're going to see what we can do with that. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
That was really appreciative because I just got introduced to Grendel this past Christmas, and I kind of got thrown into the middle of it, and Ben like pointed me to your guys' podcast, and that's like really helped like pick all the pieces together for me in like a great way. I love it. It's awesome.
Nice, yes. It is a little tough to get into. There's a lot of words to get through to get that intro and get that Devil by the Deed into, and not everyone is ready for it. But if you can watch the show and then go back and start reading, and then you have the context. I know myself, especially I'm a visual learner as well too. So having the like YouTube show or the podcast available wherever podcasts are listen to, or on my YouTube, you can watch the show. It's just been amazing, and we have great interviews. We hung with Joe Matt in person when Ben was out here. We've had a lot of great interviews, so it's only getting bigger and better with the Grendel cast. And as always, Cosmic Lion Radio is still there. You can get that on iTunes. And I always want to do more episodes. I'm always going to do more episodes. I'm at about like maybe 61 or 62 over 10 years, but I stand by all the work I've done there. Yeah, some of it's amateur. I didn't always have great mics, but I think I did some really great interviews. So I would definitely suggest you check it out.
Hardest working man in comics, ladies and
gentlemen. Yeah.
I mean, definitely
Thank
you
so
are
much.
like the new ambassador for all comicdom. Truly.
Thank you, man.
Stanley
I hope I can live up
passed
to that.
and brought the torch to you. You, sir, thank you. You're an inspiration, Eli. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, man.
I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, but hey, Monkey Line, like hit me up. Like I totally want to help with this book. All right.
All right. Let's get it done, guys.
Cool. All right, everybody. We're going to call it a day, and hey, keep it psycho.